The lineage of the UFC Welterweight belt stretches from 1998. Pat Miletich was the first man to taste gold, and then many champions changed until 2024. To avoid turning today's video into a long movie, we're just going to stick to ranking all the champions from 2010 and onward. Stay until the end of the video to see where your favourite champion ranks. Number 9, Carlos Condon. If it were the WEC belt, Condon would certainly be in a higher position, but as the interim champion, he would have to settle for 9th place. The natural-born killer faced Nick Diaz in 2012, defeating him by decision. He won the title after, believe it or not, outstriking Nick through 5 rounds. However, it was the first and last time the belt was placed around his waist. Half a year later, GSP returned after a hiatus to unify the belt and took what was rightfully his from Carlos to continue his reign. Number 8, Colby Covington. Moving on to another interim champion. Colby Covington. Hate him or love him, Chaos is a skilled fighter and a maniac in the cage. He won the interim title against Rafael dos Anjos in 2018. After excelling with victories against 5 quality welterweights, Colby was a tough matchup for anybody, but he's 0-3 in title fights, and that's why he remains in the 8th spot. The only reason he got so many opportunities without being active is because of his mouth. That didn't do him much favours in the end, did it? He may never become a true champion, but he deserves the belt as the loudest fighter in the division. Do you remember when Dana White said, if it wasn't for Kamaru Usman, Covington would be champion? Well, Leon Edwards proved otherwise. Number 7, Johnny Hendricks. After a controversial decision against GSP, Johnny Hendricks soon got a chance for redemption. He used that opportunity and defeated Robbie Lawler in 2014 to correct the previous judge's mistakes. But his reign lasted only half a year, and then his career fell into the abyss with 6 defeats in his last 8 fights. The only reason he's ahead of Condon and Covington is that he actually became a real champion. However, Robbie spoiled Hendricks' reign at the end of the year to become the new welterweight champ in a rematch, and Hendricks tasted rock bottom after that. Number 6, Beneil Muhammad. After a 9-fight winning streak, he really made us remember the name. The man went through a thorny road to finally get a shot at the title and gave it all to beat Leon Edwards in 2024. It can be said he was the most patient welterweight fighter before he finally triumphed. He's in 6th place because he is still fresh on the throne and has not had any successful title defences yet. His constant decision are justified by his winning streak, and his convincing victory against Rocky has placed him in this place on our ranking. He isn't amongst the first, but he isn't amongst the last either. However, given that he has to defend it against the undefeated Shavkat Rakhmonov, we can't help but think that the reign will be like Hendricks, short and unsuccessful. But hey, we never know. Number 5, Leon Edwards. The already mentioned Rocky had to be above Beneil Muhammad in 5th place. He had a similar fate, where he had a string of victories but could not get his turn from all the UFC superstars. Edwards has 2 more title defences than Beneil, and how he won the belt fully lives up to his nickname. He got out of 25 minutes of hell in the last minute with a superb eye kick over the dominant champion Usman, who had already defeated him once. He later won the trilogy and shut Covington's mouth, but in the end, showed that the legendary high kick was the only big thing in his highlight reel. Number 4, Robbie Lawler. Surely one of the people's favourite champions. Quiet outside the cage and brutal inside. When Hendricks defeated him and waited half a year for a rematch on the bench, Lawler quickly returned to the title picture with 2 victories. He defended the belt twice, and in one of those fights, he faced Rory McDonald for the 2nd time. Together, they gave us a fight we will tell our great-grandchildren about. Ruthless exuded the character and mentality of a champion and deserves 4th place on our list. But his train only travelled until 2016. There, Robbie was knocked out mercilessly the same way he used to knock people out. He lived by the sword and died by the sword. Number 3, Tyron Woodley. Lawler's reign ended with our 3rd-ranked fighter. The chosen one showed with a brutal knockout that he really was chosen. Although he was a more successful champion than Robbie, he got a lot less love. His fights were not always entertaining, but he defended the belt until 2019. He did this against top welterweight competitors such as Damian Maia and Wonderboy, and easily derailed Darren Till's hype train. He may not be a fan favourite, but his reign cannot be disputed. Unfortunately for Tyron in 2019, He experienced a catastrophic decline in his career after losing the belt to the next fighter on the list. Number 2, Kamaru Usman. Where do we even start with the Nigerian nightmare? Maybe with his absolute dominance in the division. Being champion for 2 years may sound short. He was one of the most active champs on the roster. In 2019, he dominated Woodley and then went on a title defense rampage, fighting often and winning convincingly. 5 title defenses decorated his name, and against some, he did it twice. Colby Covington, Jorge Masvidal, and Gilbert Burns fell into his nightmare. His pre-championship resume is nothing short of impressive, and he was on a 19-fight winning streak before losing the title. Yes, you heard right. Who knows what would have happened if Leon hadn't thrown a high kick? Usman dominated him like everyone else until the headshot. Number 1, GSP. A man who needs no introduction or special reason why he's in first place. Everything you want in a champion. George will check all your boxes. A complete and intelligent fighter. A humble human being. And someone who won title fights in the last 12 bouts. The last time he fought in an ordinary bout was in 2007. Looking at the names on his record, one would think someone had compiled a list of the best welterweights in the world. And yes, they are the best. But St. Pierre beat them all and successfully avenged his only 2 defeats. Just when we thought the rush showed it all, the man returns from retirement after 4 years, moves up to middleweight, a division above his normal weight class, and finishes the champion by submission. Record holder with 9 title defenses in welterweight, 4th multi-divisional champion in UFC history, and a well-deserved Hall of Famer. Ladies and gentlemen, George Rush St. Pierre.